So look at these headlines here. This is ridiculous. I told you about this on Monday. This headline: Vatican now considering recognition of ecological sins. That's nice. Then we have this from over across the pond. Hundreds of arrests as London climate change activists vow more protest. Then we have scientists endorsing mass civil disobedience to force climate action. This is a piece from Reuters. I want to bring in, we've got geologist. His name is Gregory Wrightstone. He's been on the program before. We love to have him on. He's the author of Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. He's got more than 35 years of experience researching and studying various aspects of Earth's processes. Gregory Wrightstone, how are you, sir?
Boy, after that introduction, you make me sound awfully smart. But there's a lot of climate lunacy going on out there. You're right about that.
Yeah, there really is. And by the way, I want to say I apologize for our technical problems. I know we were supposed to have you on Monday, and we couldn't get the phone situation worked out, but I'm glad things are working out a little better for us this morning. The climate lunacy, it never ends. And now, I'm kind of glad that the Vatican is considering adding ecological sins to the discussion, because I've kind of looked at the left, in this obsession with man-made climate change to the degree they're claiming. It kind of is like a devotion to religion in a lot of ways, and so I kind of feel like the two go hand in hand in a way. I disagree with it, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, that harkens back to the time of the Reformation. We had the Catholic Church back then. You had to pay, what was it called? We had to pay for your sins.
Indulgences.
Indulgences, and we've got the modern indulgence that they're endorsing is our carbon offsets. So we're paying for, now get this, our sins of emission. Which are carbon dioxide and a carbon footprint. And the Pope's just got it. And I've written several times about the Pope, not to pick on Catholics or the Pope, but the Pope's the biggest of the religious leaders that are out there touting things that are just absolutely go contrary to what if your listeners that are Christians, we should be pulling up the poor and the helpless, and what his policies will do is just beat down the poorest among us and destine generations or billions of people into generational poverty. Because the best way to lift people up out of poverty is through reliable, affordable energy, like they're doing in India, building coal-fired plants, going for complete electrification of the nation of India.
Yeah.
There are 4 million people, mostly women, around the world that die just because they're cooking over wood and dung in their homes.
Yeah.
4 million people die unnecessary deaths every year. Millions of children with pneumonia. In fact, I'm looking at a picture here of a 35-year-old woman from Nepal that had just gotten out of cataract surgery. That's something you've probably never heard of about this, but again, these people are cooking over open wood and dung, leading to early cataracts. They're having these women having cataracts in their 30s and early 40s, and these are just very, very preventable deaths and illnesses that we could prevent by providing electricity, propane, compressed natural gas, a lot of different things that could be used other than this, and that's just one example of how providing fossil fuel powered energy can help and lift people up out of poverty. Yeah. And again, that's India's just a shining example. They're building coal-fired plant after coal-fired plant, and he's doing it. Prime Minister Modi, I'm talking about, is doing it to lift his people up out of poverty. And we've got and again, the Pope is just the biggest example. And I'm a contributing writer for the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation, which is a Christian group. So
okay.
I'm a Christian, but I believe completely opposite of what the Pope does. I believe, and we believe, that we can use all of our resources for the betterment of mankind and do it as good stewards.
Yes.
And you'd be surprised how many people would be opposed to that. They don't want to do that. They don't want to lift people up out of poverty. They want to keep them destined, like I said before, into generational poverty. And
yeah,
it's
also,
frustrating.
what I would like the Pope to do. I mean, maybe he believes in the left's version of man-made climate change to the degree that they say it's going to happen. But we also have the Bible. I've got nieces who are going through school right now out of state, and the teachers are just hammering climate change. They're scaring these kids to death, talking about the same thing that I heard when I was growing up, which was if the polar ice caps melt, the earth is going to flood. Well, hey, guess what? If you're a Christian, the Bible says that the rainbow is a symbol, not for the LGBT community, but it's a symbol. It's a promise saying, hey, you know what? Earth's never going to flood again. It's not going to happen like it did in the Old Testament. You'd think the Pope would be coming out and saying that, wouldn't he?
Well, I'm a huge proponent. You've had me on your show several times before. I'm a huge proponent of the many benefits we're seeing of rising temperature and increasing CO2.
Yes.
And it's not even close. In fact, I just participated, got in late last night from, I'm calling you from Pittsburgh. I participated in a large geological convention yesterday. I was one of the featured speakers. And then we had, the gentleman before me was, I guess you call him an alarmist. His talk was on the rock-solid evidence of man-made warming. And then I got up. My title was he's wrong and I'm right. And so it was pretty interesting. We had a debate. But he says we're going into a crisis, and I was saying no, we're not. And so what he does is he was using models to predict what might happen 30, 50, or 80 years in the future, and I looked at what was actually happening. He's predicting crisis and doom and despair. I'm looking at what's actually happening, and I'm seeing an Earth and humanity that are thriving. Let's look in our rearview mirror of history. In the last 100 years, you pick a metric, and I'll show you it's improving. We're just getting better and better and better, decade by decade, year by year. The many things that we hear that are fires are increasing and it's awful. And no, they're not. The science, the facts, and the data, when we look at things like hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, droughts, they're in decline. Extreme weather-related deaths are declining by a lot. All these things that they say are going to get worse are getting better. And so I'd rather rely on factual results of what's actually going on instead of saying, well, we think this is going to happen by the year 2100.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, no, it's not.
We had Bernie Sanders a month or so ago say women need to have more access to abortions to help fight climate change. And then you had a stunt done or performed at an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez rally. It was from a pro-Trump group. It was a really good performance where a woman stood up and said we need to start eating the babies because we don't have enough time. And she was not laughed out of the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you see that? What was your reaction?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, it wasn't a pro-Trump person. She was Lyndon LaRouche, which is definitely not pro-Trump.
Oh, okay.
She's an oddball. She's bat poop crazy, but as is he and his followers. And so, no, it was a Lyndon LaRouche follower. But
thank you for that
that's just an
correction.
example.
I had read that somewhere. Thank you for that correction.
Yeah. So it was if it was a Trump supporter, I thought it was done really well. I'd take credit for that. That was brilliant, just to showcase how crazy these people are. That you can say the dumbest, most outrageous things, and people go, well, maybe we should start eating babies. No, we shouldn't. The thing that there's a new group. You had referenced some of this in the lead up to my intro. They're spreading fake blood in London on Wall Street. It's a group by the name of Extinction Rebellion. Mm-hmm. You may not have heard about them yet, but you're going to. They're coming to a city near you. Their goal is to take down all Western civilizations and replace it with their vision of a utopian system. Their founder is Julian Roger Hallam. He's a failed organic carrot farmer. But he says the name of the game, you've got to bring all down all the regimes in the world, ideally simultaneously, and then replace them. And he says clearly, and this is the thing that I don't think a lot of people well, I'm sure you understand it. We've talked before, I know you do. But he says this isn't about climate change. He said what this is, Extinction Rebellion isn't about the climate. It's not even about climate justice. It's a call to the Extinction Rebellion community to say that we're a climate movement, because we're not. We are a rebellion. This is what it's about. And I participated here in Pittsburgh I went to the climate strike rally a couple of weeks ago, the students, and with the film crew, actually, I was on with Fox News that evening with some of our interviews that we did, and it was really amazing. The most common sign that we saw there was system change, not climate change. And what's that mean? System change. They want to bring down our government.
Yes.
One of the big focus I saw at that rally was an anti-capitalist, pro-socialist, pro-Marxist, and they didn't say it, but I would say pro-fascist movement that they want to bring us down and replace it with their Marxist utopian form of government. And no, thank you. No, I don't want that. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't want that either. We're talking with Gregory Wrightstone. He's geologist, author of Inconvenient Facts. There's an app you can get called Inconvenient Facts. It's on your phone, and if you're ever in a conversation, and that's what it's designed for, right, Gregory? It's designed if you're having a conversation with one of these people who've been kind of brainwashed on this subject, you can open up that app and just share some truth with them, right?
Yeah. And I didn't really set out to write a book. I set out to seek the truth. And then I just got swept up into this, and I'm on a mission now. I feel sometimes like an old-time evangelist spreading the good news of the gospel of increasing CO2 and benefiting Earth. And what we see here is, and I wrote the book to empower people and disseminate information, and the app does it. Would you believe that this book, just 2 days ago, was the #1 bestseller on Amazon in 6 categories? Unbelievable. And it's a lot of word of mouth of people getting it and say, wow, and telling their friends. Again, I was at this convention. I had 4 different people come up and tell me, I bought 10, 20, 30 books. I had another fellow that he just bought another 10 from me because he keeps it in the boardroom of his office. And anybody that comes in, he hands them out to them. Mm-hmm. And so the book is Inconvenient Facts. If you want to get more of this information, too, my website's inconvenientfacts.xyz. You get a lot of good information. Read about the Amazon fires, the fires in California. The data there that I show is just amazing, showing that the number of fires in California have actually declined by 50% in the last 30 years. Who knew?
Yeah.
Completely opposite of what we're being told.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, this whole movement is about an attempt, like you said, to remake society and to control us. And I have become a lot more concerned than I was previously, because now we have our children who are buying into this at a really young age. And all across the world, you have kids. And I've seen the videos who are legitimately scared that they're not going to be able to live their lives.
Yeah.
And we got to do something about this, because they do not need to be growing up in that kind of environment of fear and really just straight up brainwashed. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, and as I was packing up yesterday from my booth, there was a woman came up to me. She was a 6th grade teacher, and we talked, and she says, I love what you have to say. And I said, well, she's talking about getting out of education because of just what you're talking about. So I gave her 4 books. Here's 4 books. Take it back. And she was, really? And I gave her 4 books. I said, give them to your students, pass it out. Let them learn the facts. And so
that's awesome.
We've got to do that.
Yeah. So
thank you. It's people like you, Paul, that are helping spread the message. I'm actually very optimistic, looking forward because as I travel around the country, I find that people are very, very skeptical
Yeah.
of this catastrophic man-made warming.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Gregory Wrightstone, everybody. We appreciate it, sir. We'll talk to you again soon.